are gonna get started with a quick and easy dinner of pan-seared pork chops and a broccoli cheese stovetop casserole. From my spice cabinet, I pulled this Pit Boss smoke-infused whiskey fruitwood and my black pepper, and in the little container that the pork chops came in, I'm gonna season up the first side. I'm gonna put those that side down in the skillet, which I have a little bit of bacon grease getting warm in that. So I like to keep my leftover grease from when I fry bacon, and it is perfect for using in things just like this. So I'm heating that up. This is a very, very shallow fry. I don't want to overcook these pork chops. The internal temp needs to be 145, and I do use my little thermometer to gauge that to make sure I'm just not going too long and causing these to dry out. So it doesn't take very long on these pork chops, maybe 5 or so minutes on each side, of course, depending on what flame or what temperature you have your burner on. So I'm going to go back in now with those same 2 seasonings, get this side seasoned up as well, and like I said, this will go rather quickly. I had errands to run this day and did not have any meat thawed out or anything planned ahead for dinner, so I picked these up and then I'm just going to pull from my pantry to make this side. At first, I just decided I was going to make this rice pilaf by Rice-A-Roni. I took that from my pantry, and then as I was contemplating, I decided I was going to add to that and make a little on-the-spot, made-up recipe, broccoli, cheese, rice, stovetop casserole. And it actually turned out really, really good. So basically, I'm going to follow the directions on the box for the Rice-A-Roni. So you want to brown the rice and the vermicelli mix up with some butter. You kind of get a good toasty flavor by doing that. And then, like I said, I'm going to follow the box directions to make the rice. Now, the broccoli casseroles that I like to make have a Ritz cracker topping. So in my measuring cup here, I have just melted a couple tablespoons of butter in the microwave, and then I am using this sleeve of Copycat Ritz crackers. This is what I had in the pantry, and I just tried to keep the seam side up and kind of squish it in and then go in and break it all up that way, and you can almost do the whole thing, you can virtually, in this little sleeve. And so to the butter, I'm going to pour in the crackers, and I'm just going to get those all coated around, making sure the butter touches every single little cracker. If I can at least try to do it that way, I want everything to be real good and buttery, and that is going to go on the top of this little stovetop broccoli casserole that I am making up. Look at that, looking so good. This Rice-A-Roni, the rice pilaf, is perfect all by itself, but like I said, I was just kind of thinking, why don't I just combine the broccoli that I was going to do for a side with this rice? And so I cubed up some Copycat Velveeta, put that in there. I'm just guesstimating. I won't have a recipe for this below. I'm just making this on the fly. So put in, if you're going to make it, as much cheese as you think you want in there. And then I steamed the broccoli. It was a bag of broccoli florets. I steamed those in the microwave. I poked a hole in the bottom and make sure all the water was drained out. And then I opened it up the rest of the way and poured it in here with the rice. You don't want any extra liquid in here to make this soupy in any kind of way. So drained off the water, got that in with this cheese and the rice, and the heat is just going to melt that cheese down just perfectly. course, you could get this all mixed and pop the lid on and just let it sit there for a little bit, and it'll continue to get everything melted down and sort of meshed together just perfectly. Now, here is the topping. Going over the top, you could put this in the oven if you had an oven safe pan, if you wanted to toast that up, but I'm not wanting to do any oven tonight. So this is going to be just right like it is. That butter provides a lot of extra flavor on those already buttery crackers, and it just turned out perfect. And I actually ate on this a couple of days. James went out of town for business, and I was able to reheat that and eat it. It was so delicious. Here it is with those pork chops that were tender and delicious as well. I was happy to be able to pull from my freezer and my pantry to put together this no fuss, very filling dinner. Well, I've taken these things out of my fridge to get started on tonight's dinner. I am making egg roll in a bowl. It's been a good long while since I've made that, and I'm really looking forward to it. I like using breakfast sausage for it, so I'm going to brown up this roll of sausage. I'm going to sliver up my cabbage. This zucchini is on its last leg. I'm going to get that one cut up and ready to roll. And then I don't think I'm going to use celery, but I will use carrots. I like to keep some veggies prepped like this in the fridge for quick and easy use. So I am going to get started on getting this egg roll in a bowl put together. I'd say if you Googled an egg roll in a bowl recipe online or looked through cookbooks, you would probably find 100 different variations for egg roll in a bowl. That's one of the things that I like about it. You can take your favorite components, and then based on what you have in your fridge, maybe veggies that you need to get used up, things like that, you can really make this various ways each time, I would say, based on those things. You definitely want a protein, which, like I said, I love the roll of sausage for mine. You want some cabbage, that's pretty standard, onion, carrot, some soy sauce. But if you have other things that you need to use up, you can throw those in here, I would say, based on your liking and your preference. I will have a recipe down below, but like I say, I generally kind of make this based on what I have maybe in my fridge that I need to use. As you can see, I just put in that zucchini I peeled and diced up, and then I had a half of a red pepper, so all those are going in. From my freezer, I pulled out these pot stickers. I bought this at Costco, and I just have a few in the bottom of the bag. And from my pantry, this Knorr teriyaki noodle packet. That's what I'm going to make to go alongside this egg roll in a bowl. So to the egg roll in a bowl now, my next variation is this Japanese barbecue sauce. This also comes from Costco. I cut back a little bit on the soy. I don't have any sesame oil. I'm going to go in with this Japanese barbecue sauce. Let me tell you what, if you go to Costco or if you see that somewhere else, pick it up. It is so good. I'm just putting a heavy amount of black pepper because that and cabbage pairs so well together, as does these dried red pepper flakes. Just so good. So all of that is in. It's all doing its thing. I've got it in my Dutch oven here. I'm going to just get this all stirred around, put the lid on, and let this just kind of sit here, and these flavors will just get so intensely delicious while everything else is coming along on the stovetop and in my air fryer. All right, now to add on the little flavor seasoning pack there of the sauce for these pot stickers. It gives such a good flavor to these already delicious pot stickers. You can do these 4 different ways. I generally air fry them, but sometimes we boil them. It just depends on what the mood we are in, but they are good either way. Here this is all ready to be plated up. The noodles are all done, and this made a really, really good dinner. We haven't had this in a good while, and we really, really love this. Of course, this makes a lot, so we were able to eat on this again, the egg roll in a bowl, that is, which is nice to have leftovers from your dinner. So this was a really good one. If you haven't tried it, give it a try. This night we are having lots of tacos, Taco Tuesday. So we are pulling together here about 4 pounds of ground beef. I got that all cooked up and drained, and I don't have a taco seasoning pack. In this case, I would need several packs. I usually don't buy those. I just season with the things that I already have on hand. So I am adding a lot of these seasonings. Like I said, I have a lot of ground beef. So I had garlic powder, I had dried cilantro, I put in onion powder. Next, I am coming in with some cumin. I'm going to add in some chili powder. And let's see here, what else am I going to add into this and get it mixed around really, really well so I can get these flavors all throughout this ground beef. Onion salt, that was my final thing that I added in there, actually regular salt as well. And for this amount, like I said, we've got a lot of ground beef in here, so I want this good and seasoned up for tonight's Taco Tuesday. And if you are looking for a delicious taco shell, buy these from Aldi. They are so light and airy and crispy, so good. And if you don't have a taco holder, order these from Amazon. They make making tacos really, really easy. All right, for dessert that night, it's a cranberry orange bread, but instead of in a bread pan, I made it in my bundt pan. And so I had quite a few mandarin oranges left that needed to be used. So I peeled them all, put them all in my blender, blended them all up, and that was the orange component of this recipe. This is my mother-in-law's personal recipe. She came up with herself. Hers is so delicious. Mine never tastes as good as hers, but we like this so much. I make this pretty often, and by the end of the night, I'm not kidding, this is virtually gone, 1 or 2 pieces left. Everyone in the family really loves it. And then I used some of those oranges and made this glaze. I have showed this on my channel before. I will have it linked down below. If you're looking for a really good bread, or you can make it in a bundt pan, this one is a great one to try, cranberry orange bread. And I got so busy when the family got here, I forgot to film the whole spread, but this is my plate. I had a double-decker taco, which is a soft taco with beans, and then the hard shell taco inside, and then the toppings, and then just 2 regular tacos. It was so good. Several people made taco salads. Several people had, their combo of hard and soft tacos. I served refried beans. It was a simple, quick Taco Tuesday, so delicious. And we are kicking off Memorial Weekend with this pork butt. James smoked this in the smoker the night before for 4 hours. That's the only amount of time that we had. Put it in the fridge after it cooled down, and then I've had it in the crock pot all day here. He did the whole thing. He got it seasoned up, sauced up. It was divine. My portion of the meal here are some of the sides. So I'm going to go for a slaw. I put 2/3 cup of mayonnaise. I sprinkled in some onion salt. I have a little bit of regular salt. I'm going in with just a little bit of black pepper and the tiniest amount of apple cider vinegar. I cut back from what the recipe said because I am not a vinegar person. I put a little bit of sugar in there, and I'm just going to get this all incorporated, and this is going to be the dressing for the slaw. I will have the recipe linked below that I followed. I have showed slaw homemade here on my channel before, but I usually don't follow a set recipe. I just kind of look something up based on the mood that I am in for the day. So today I was wanting something really quick and easy and simple. I picked up this classic coleslaw mix from Aldi. Into the bowl it goes, and I'm going to top it with this dressing. What I'm doing here is pulling out any big hard pieces, like the core pieces of the cabbage that sometimes are in these bags. You want to go through and get those picked out because those are not pleasant to eat. All right, you want to have your dressing thick because as it sits with this cabbage in the refrigerator, and you want to make this a little bit ahead of time, at least maybe I would say an hour or so ahead, the cabbage breaks down a little and releases some water. And that, of course, will thin out that slaw dressing a little bit. So make your dressing a little bit thicker than maybe you think it should be, because in the end, it'll turn out just right and it won't be very watery and have a lot of excess liquid in the slaw. Okay, so this is another family night clip. And so anytime I have family night, of course, I am making a lot more food than I make just for me and James. So in my sink here, I have a pile of potatoes and I am just using my scrub brush and getting those all very, very good and clean, washed and rinsed. And then I'm just going to go in, I'm going to dice these up. I was wanting to make the half-baked potatoes, but then I thought, it might be yummy to have some maybe ranch potatoes. I've never made anything like this before that I can remember. And so I switched gears a little bit from what I was thinking originally, and I just went in and diced these up. I want them all to be diced about the same so that way they cook evenly and in about the same time. So I just threw these into my gallon-sized Ziploc bag after they were all cut up, and then that's where I'm going to do the seasoning on these, and then I'm just going to bake these in the oven. Recipe I looked up for about this amount of potatoes said to use 1 package of dry ranch dressing mix. So I did, but I just felt like, man, I don't think this is going to be enough. I added in the 1 package first, and then it just said to go in with your olive oil and get everything really, really well coated. I actually ended up having a half a package of ranch that was left from another recipe in my little spice cabinet there. And I added that in as well after, I thought about it. And, these still needed more seasoning. They really, really did. We added in, my daughter-in-law Hope and I, we kept taste testing things after they came out to see what they needed. We ended up adding quite a bit of salt. We went in with some garlic pepper, I think some garlic powder and some black pepper, and we finally got them seasoned up just right. But I would say overall, if I were making these again, definitely 1 package of ranch was not enough, and really 1.5 was not enough. We just felt like these really needed some more seasoning, which is easy fix, very easy fix. You could go in with any kind of seasoning you wanted. But that was kind of my thoughts on the recipe that I was following. It definitely needed more seasoning. These bake at 425 for 25 to 30 minutes. I left mine in actually a little bit longer as well because I just wanted a little bit more of a crisp on them, and they turned out to be really delicious. They were almost the whole pan was eaten up. The whole spread. There's a look at the potatoes, all crisped up and delicious. The pulled pork, I cannot say enough about it. This whole pan was almost devoured. There was a tiny little bit left. We could not get enough of it. I had buns there for anyone that wanted a sandwich. I just cooked up a couple cans of green beans. I made this slaw that I showed you here. The whole thing was just delicious. We really thought this was so good and a great way to kick off the weekend. Some fresh fruit, some banana bread, some Jell-O, and my daughter-in-law made these beautiful cake pops, which were a huge hit because they were so tasty. Henry wanted a picture with his. He loved it so much. I think he had 3 of them. That wraps up this video, you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. This is kind of the unofficial kickoff to summer, and I hope everyone is safe and has a great time. I'll see you all next week. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.